everybody, welcome back. It is another episode of Dadcast. Today, we are live in person at NovaSana in Grants Pass doing a episodic episode in person. Yeah, good stuff. As always, I am JP. That guy's Nick. Nick, how are you, bud?
I'm good, man. You said in person a lot.
Yes, it is. I did it on purpose.
I'm glad we all know that we're in person.
We are in person, live.
Look, I'm touching
in NovaSana. Yes, you are. You finally get the opportunity because we rarely get to do these things, you know,
together
in a studio or whatnot, in person.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, it's good to see you. And that was Dadcast. Have a great rest of your day. Peace. Today, man, on the show, we are stoked to have a couple of guys with us at NovaSana. First one I'm going to introduce you to is the man, the myth over here, Julian. Julian, how are you, bro?
I'm well, thank you very much.
Thank
you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
And of course, today, man, we've got another Nick. And he is right there, Mr. Nick. What are your last names?
Beta.
Nick Beta and Julian
Congelosi.
Congelosi. Did I say that right?
You did good.
All right, right on.
Good job.
Thanks for having us here, you guys.
Half Lebanese and a half
Italian.
There we go.
Dude, I'm half-assed.
Together we
so,
make a whole.
you know, from at least that's what my wife tells me, you know. Whatever, like, actually that's not entirely true.
She's being kind. Like,
She is being kind. All right, man. So, gentlemen, if you weren't aware, Dadcast, our podcast, first of all, we hit a milestone today, at least the day of this recording. We're pretty big on social media, not to float our own boats, but our lowest number is the YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys are aware of how hard it is to get subscriptions and get that thing going, but we celebrate today 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel of Dadcast.
I just got really nervous.
Congratulations.
Pretty cool. We're talking thousands upon thousands of views of every episode, so no pressure.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
Part of a big day.
Dadcast is all about celebrating dads. So we like to talk our path, our journey in being dads. Now, with that being said, Nick, I will start with you. The first question we always ask on the podcast, are you a dad?
I am a dad.
All right. How many kids you got, man? Talk to us.
I have two kids, a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Boys, girls?
So my 9-year-old's a boy, my 14-year-old is a girl.
Okay.
And they're both adopted.
Okay.
Which is quite a blessing.
Can you get a little dive deeper into that?
Well, my wife and I were young and successful and bored, and my wife didn't really want to have kids, and I did, and so we kind of had this great idea that I came up with a little schemey, which was like, hey, let's just foster kids, you know, we'll be a foster parent, and then you know, she'll be a great mom, and then she'll have kids, and then we'll be parents, you know, maybe someday. And that was the idea, and the first kid we got came up for adoption, and we bonded to her so quick. My daughter just like, it's so
That's
quickly,
awesome.
you know, and that was the slippery slope. Mm-hmm. And so,
how long has it been? How long have you had the kids?
My daughter, we adopted her when she was 10 months old.
10 months.
10 months.
All right, so this is.
It's a long time ago. My son, who's 9 now, we adopted him when he was 2 months.
2 months. Okay. Now, I don't know how important this question is, or if I should even ask it, but are they aware that they've been adopted?
Fully.
Okay,
Fully.
good. Because I'm like, you know, if they happen to come across this episode, that's going to be a really shocking, awkward day for you.
It's always funny. It's always funny because my wife is Mexican, you know, born in Mexico, immigrated, and I'm half Lebanese, and our daughter is this towhead, blonde hair, blue eye, but she has very similar features, very, very cute little nose and really pretty eyes. They're both really pretty, my wife and my daughter. And some people are like, oh, your daughter's so beautiful. And we do the running joke, like, really? I mean, she is kind of Mexican and she's blonde, you know,
right.
Not put that together.
Well,
people can look over it, but my son, I mean, he has all my mannerisms, and he talks like me. He's loud and obnoxious and arrogant like me. I mean, he's picked up so much of me, and we look a lot alike. And so many people have no clue when it comes to him being adopted.
Okay.
But
and
we are
open.
Is
the same situation as your daughter? Like you got him when he was a baby as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So she was 10 months, he was 2 months.
Awesome. And the daughter's the older one, you said 14. Are we coming? You know what? I'm going to roll back to that. Julian.
Yes, sir.
Are you a dad?
I am.
Talk to us.
I have 2 boys.
Okay.
One's 9 and one is 3.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any troubles so far? Any sibling rivalry going on there yet?
You know, they're far enough apart that it's not too bad. But the 3-year-old, the little one, he weighs about half as much as the 9-year-old.
Right.
And they have about the same size head.
Tank.
So the 9-year-old, he's learned his lesson a few times already, where it's like you just got payback for pushing the buttons too much of
Right.
a 3-year-old. So you better watch out, because this little guy's gonna grow up and you're gonna get worked. But
9 years old. Now, you to me look like a pretty young fella. So, what? Were you 15 when you had these kids?
Close. No, I'm 35.
Okay, all right.
So I was 26 when he was born.
All right, it's about the average, about the norm. Nick over here, I don't know if you guys are aware, but he is 43 years old, right?
I am.
And has 6 children.
Holy.
And his 7th will be here in January.
Whoa!
It's crazy.
That goes from dad to dad pa.
That's right.
Dad paw. Yes.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
With
yeah,
dad
it's,
pa.
yeah, it's crazy. So I was like all done. My youngest, when I met my wife, was like 13 or 12 or something. We were close to being done, and she didn't have kids. So she's like, let's have a kid. And I was fixed. So I got unfixed and started the whole, we did IVF, did the whole process, planned this one, my 2-year-old and my new baby out. So it's definitely a different thing when you plan them out and you are expecting it, and it's not like, oh shit. Have a bad night at the bar and you're like, damn it.
Right.
But so it's really
I
cool.
call that a good night at the bar.
But it is a good night at a bar, but then it's like 2 weeks later, you're like, damn it. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not this time around.
No.
So, your 14-year-old daughter, Nick, are you experiencing any difficulties recently? As in, Nick and I. My oldest is about to turn 18 in 2 weeks from the day we record this show. And the last 3 years, 4 years have been absolute friggin' nightmares for us. And it seems like the norm, getting independent, thinking they know more than the parents, pushing back at boys, and it's sometimes girls, pushing back where they can. Have you started to experience any of that yet?
It's ironic you asked that, because she's been getting straight A's and she just had a little bit of a dip, and so we've been on her so tight. She just doesn't really have a lot of opportunity to fade off too much, but we just grounded her today, which was like, her grounding is like, okay, you're not going to rowing, it's not a big deal. We keep her really busy.
Right.
So one of the things that my wife insists on is that our kids will play an instrument, which to me, I played the piano when I was younger, and then my friends bullied me and peer pressured me, and I was a jock, and so I thought it was stupid anyways. I didn't do it, and but she's stuck with it. My wife is very persistent, just keeping them in it, and so she's got a full plate. She doesn't have time to slip up because something drips. She's doing the rowing team, the crew, which is amazing for scholarships, and then and so she loves it so much. It's the little bit of leverage that we have.
That doesn't seem like punishment to me, not letting her go to rowing.
I know, right?
I thought maybe taking the phone away, or
that's like number one. The phone goes.
Right. Okay.
Like we waited so long to give her a phone, and then we finally did, because all the other kids, and every day we regret it. Like, why did we give her a phone? It's just there's such a pathway to just hectic mayhem, texting in class all the time. Right. Thankfully, we sent her to private school, St. Mary's, and they're amazing, and we get to see her grades and her scores. Everything's like uploaded instantaneously. So
same with my kids.
When she starts slipping, we're on top of it. It's not like when we went to school. You could
wait 3 months.
Like, oh my goodness, the report card came. I got to be out the mail so I can steal the report card. No, they didn't see that F. Sorry, I don't know where it went. Like, all you're doing is like procrastinating the inevitable.
You just reminded me of a great story that I want to share. I graduated high school in 1993. So junior high, freshman year, we're talking 88, 89, give or take. And we got report cards mailed home, and they're all computer. It's almost like opening up a bill, right? One year, I was getting like a D or something, and I was normally fairly good at this point. I devised this whole plan, and I intercepted the mail. I opened my report card. I took an old report card that had an A on it. I cut it out. This is pre-Photoshop, right? Cut it out, cut out the A, glued it over the D, and then went and photocopied that version. And when the parents came home, I said, you guys will never believe it. They don't mail them home anymore. Here's a photocopy I got from the office. And handed over.
Preemptive.
They never knew a thing.
Beautiful.
And now, God rest their souls, they're both gone from this world. That's the first time I've ever shared that in public. And I got the grade up, so by the time, and then what really almost backfired though is then the next one came, and it came in the mail. Like, I thought they changed the policy. It's like, oh, I have no idea. Maybe they was a one-off or whatnot. But anyway, got away with that one time.
I thought for sure you were going to say you turned the D into a B because
That's what
I
I was
pulled that one.
Oh, a
off.
little, right, a little black ink.
Oh yeah, just one little line.
Yeah,
Exactly.
didn't even think of that. That would have been way easier.
A lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, that's me.
No.
Going over the top,
Yeah.
even since I was 14 years old. Julian, 9-year-old and 3-year-old boys. I got 2 girls and 1 boy. I can't really ask the question about is it different from raising a boy and a girl, so we'll get to that, you, Nick. But
Right.
I am curious to know, 9.5 years ago, give or take,
Yeah.
it was a fateful day.
Yeah.
The wife or girlfriend came up to you and said, hey, hon, guess what? And let you know you were going to be a dad.
Uh-huh.
Do you recall that day?
Oh yeah, vividly.
How are the emotions, man?
Then
Yeah.
it was overwhelming, but it was all I really wanted in life, like from a young age, was to have a family and to have that piece of life. And so I feel like it came early in life for me. But it was really funny because my dad had said something to me when I was young. He was like, life happens while you're busy making other plans. And some reason that always stuck with me, and it was somehow I connected it to like the moment where your family would start, or like that type of situation. And so we're going to get, go to the, Women's Health Center, go see if we're pregnant or not.
Right.
And this song comes on, I forget the name of the song, I think it's like Canon and D, but it's this song, it's this classical song, and somehow that was looped into this whole connection of like, life happens while you're busy making other plans, and that starts playing while we're in the waiting room, and I was like, it's here.
Here's your sign.
I already knew.
Yeah.
We went in, but I already knew. But it was like, it was right before we were gonna get married. It was within like.
Were you scared, or were you just like, let's go, man, here we go, it's time?
I wasn't scared at all. Totally
Well,
confident. Like, it's awesome.
You are
There
the
you go.
first guest in over 100 guests we've had on this podcast to admit that. So
Yeah.
it's okay to be scared, even a little bit. Just
No,
saying,
I
man.
mean,
I'm still scared. I've done this 6 times.
And the thing that gets me is why you'd be scared. You got 9 months to plan for a baby to come into this world.
Right.
I was up on the golf course in Portland, going to tee off, and my phone rings, and my wife's panicking. Oh, baby, what's going? Oh my goodness! Slow down,
Right,
babe,
pump
slow
the
down.
brakes.
Just say it slowly. They said they have a baby, and they want to bring her over. And so I told her, I'm like, listen, I gotta get off the phone. I'm teeing off. We're holding up the course. We've gone through the courses. We're all trained up. Just say yes. Oh, okay. So she gets off the phone. I hit my driver, par 5. I'll never forget it. Crushed like 330 on it. I mean, I was driver pitching wedge, stuck it 2 feet from the cup.
Right.
I'm walking up to the green, and my phone rings again. And it's my wife, freaking out. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? She's like, she's here. I'm like, what do you mean she's there? That quick? Like, yeah, she said she dropped off she dropped her off the clothes and the car seat. She said, here you go. And she turned around and left.
So
And
here's your baby. Have a
here's
nice
your
day.
baby. So 9 months to plan for a baby.
Right.
Chill out. You're good. You know what I mean? I literally picked up. I walked up, tapped my Eagle in, went home, went to my friend's house who just got over the baby stage. By the time I got my van, drove back to Grants Pass.
You were a dad.
I was a dad. I had
Wow.
4 hours. And and by the time I got home, my uncle had brought over a crib. My mom had brought over bottles, and we had food and bouncers. We were fully set up in 4 hours. So I walked in, and there was a blonde little towhead looking up at me, and I said, "Hey, kid," and that was it. So 4 hour story there.
Any possibility of more children in your future?
I mean,
Is the wife ready
I
yet?
want more children, but she's running wild over there.
Okay, all right.
I'm out working and running businesses, and she's taking care of most of the responsibility. But I would welcome more at some point.
Right. Julian? More kids?
I'm pretty happy with 2.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm pretty much
To keep
done.
you busy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Any future masseuses?
I don't know.
If you had a choice into what those boys end up doing for a living, now granted, we always want our children to do a certain thing, and they end up doing probably the exact opposite. But I mean, right now, if your boys could be doctors, chiropractors, masseuses, sports stars, athletes, whatever, what would you choose for them?
For the younger one,
Yeah.
it's gonna be something in music,
Okay.
I believe, because he's got rhythm. He loves to dance. I put a pair of headphones on him when he was really little, listening to Chris Stapleton. You know the Chris Stapleton song, the Starting Over.
Okay.
It's got that nice rhythm
Yeah.
at the beginning, and he just starts grooving and dancing. He's like, I don't know, 8 months to a year and something. And I was like, this kid's gonna do something with music. The other one, I don't know. He'll go super deep into something like scooter riding or dirt bike riding or bike riding. He'll go super deep into it and get really good at something, and then kind of pop out the other side and be like, all right, well,
What's next?
He's gonna be
I
a jack of all
explored that.
trades.
So yeah, he'll be in that vein, or just, you know, talented at multiple things and maybe transition multiple times into different talents and skills. So I don't really know for him, but that's my gut feeling on the little one.
Nice. My baby girl, my 9-year-old. I love telling this story, Nick. Are you eating brownies over there?
No, drinking zero.
Oh, for the record, there's brownies. Just
There's
saying. My baby girl, she's 9 years old. She's kind of a jack of all trades type thing too. But recently, I flew to Vegas, 2-hour flight, not even. She texted me, says, "Daddy, I've got something for you when you get off the plane." Right before I got on, I land. I receive a text message. She wrote, sang, and put behind music and video in the entire time I was gone, the first verse of a brand new song she wrote.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my god. And you know what? It's pretty good. You know, a lot of times as a dad, you're going, oh great, that's, you know, oh that's so good, honey, and it's crap. This was really good.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, I hope she pursues that more, because I mean, that was one of the greatest gifts I ever received, man. I mean, I literally almost broke down in tears on the airplane ready to get off, going, just, it was so beautiful. Like, that came from me. My heart's outside my body writing music right now. Oh my gosh, amazing. You didn't get the opportunity. Nick didn't get the opportunity, but you did, I'm guessing. Were you in the room when your children were born?
Yo, yeah, I mean, both of them, we did a natural birth. The first one was a water birth. And so I was right there the whole time in the water, doing the thing, catching the baby.
Same here, we did a water birth.
So you asked earlier about like being scared or whatever. When I first, so, you know, you're in the water, the baby's almost there, it's this big moment. And you see all of a sudden like the hair floating in the water. And I was like, all right, this shit just got real.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
this is definitely happening.
Uh-huh.
And, whew, okay, let's go. But just from then on, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's a huge learning curve.
Yeah,
But I
well, it
was
always
there
is,
for both
every
of
single
them.
day, still.
No, it's definitely crazy though. Like you have the 9 months to prepare, but you really don't have 9 months to prepare, because like it's not real until you're holding it. So it's kind of, it's like a whole different situation.
For us, we've had that talk.
Yeah,
for the moms,
For the moms, it's like, yeah, they got 9
seconds
months
in utero, they're mom.
Changes
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
We're not yet.
Yeah.
You know, we got an argument. She's like, I'm not a dad yet. She's like, yes, you are. I'm like, but I'm not. I don't feel it yet.
Right.
I mean, I know there's a gigantic baby in there right now, but I don't feel. And then boom, he was born, and just it just all washed over, and it was the greatest day ever, man.
Yeah.
Woo wee. Yeah.
So let's go back and touch on the foster parent thing. So we actually have never had a foster parent on. So this is really cool. So I work with our foster kids in Grants Pass.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law actually runs that. So it's really cool to actually talk to somebody that's taken in kids and raised them and stuck with it. And we see a lot of times where people get the kids and then a couple weeks later they don't have the kids anymore, and it's a bad situation. And so it's cool, and I respect what you did. That's awesome.
It's challenging, you know. It's one of the things we remind our kids. no shame against the real dads, right? But you know, you
Hey, I'm not going to interrupt, but
almost any dad can have almost any man can have a kid. You know, it's like opening your heart to love on other people's kids is a whole other challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you add foster parenting into that, you're like you're risking on the front end, like I'm going to go in there and try and love on this kid, and then they might just get taken away. You know, a year in,
Right.
6 months in, and it's very challenging. So it takes a strong awareness of that up front, I would say, if someone's going to do it. But there's nothing more rewarding. I think we chose to love those children, and we picked them, you know, to some extent. But it was a God moment when they came into our house, and for me, it's like financially, my life turned over. I struggled to make money, and once I did this, it was like blessings abound. So, and it's continued to this day, which has been amazing. I would never change it, and I recommend anybody, if they're kind of on the edge and they're thinking, you know, I'm not quite ready, just dive in and go for it. You know, because it's like loving on these kids, even if it's for a few months, you could change their lives forever. But it can be scary, and you know, there is a risk of, you know, the child going back to the previous situation. But maybe for 3 months or 6 months, they saw something normal and felt unconditional love.
And that can like totally change their lives
forever,
too. Yeah.
right? So it's a huge need. And where we live in Jackson County right now, I live in Jackson County, but there's basically 10 open beds available right now. And it's not nearly enough. There's way more kids. You know,
no, I think
there's
we
a
have
huge need.
420 kids in Grants Pass, just in Josephine County. So then I think Jackson is like probably triple that. It's insane. So
yeah. Well, our first go was with our daughter, and it was this case that no one's ever really even seen. And because when we first got approved, we had a big house. We had a 4-bedroom house. It was just the two of us, and I had a real successful construction company, and my wife didn't have to work. And so once we were all approved, they were so gung-ho, the DHS, they wanted to bring us a bunch of kids. So they tried to like land us with 3 kids right off the get-go. Like, you got this big house, you know, it's 3, to them it's like 3 beds. All right, not check that off the box. You know, I got rid of 3, you know, basically, because that's their job, to go and take kids and find a place for them to go. But we had a mentor, and she was telling them, she told us, you tell them no, we just want a baby to start. No, we just want a baby. And they say, baby? We never get babies, you know? Like, well, it doesn't happen. And so about a month later, this all came down, and I came into our daughter. And her parents...
Now, was she a foster child at first?
She came into the foster system, and this was a different story, because normally in the foster system, it's DHS has to go remove the child from a home. The parents are unwilling because of a certain situation, whatever it is, abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, you name it. The sky's the limit. But in this case, the parents came forward with their daughter, and because they just couldn't take care of her. They knew they couldn't. They were in a really bad position in life, and so we had her for about a month, and they asked for a letter. And so my wife wrote a letter. My wife has this way of with words, it's just unbelievable. And she wrote them this letter that really touched their heart. And so we went to the very first court date, and the parents were there. And so we didn't bring the Cece, but our daughter, but we were there to watch the court proceedings. And the dad came up and looked me in the eye, and so we read your letter. It was unbelievable. We're so thankful that you guys are caring for her. Will you adopt my daughter? Whoa. Whoa. I was really taken back for a moment. I'm like, hold on, I was just gonna foster her and then go on vacation. You know, it's like, I was gonna help a kid out, then give him back. But I just felt this weight, and I looked him in the eye and said, he asked me if I'd raise her like my own, and give her everything he could. And Absolutely. So I committed to that at the moment. And then we went into court, and the parents gave up their rights willfully in front of the judge. And both the husband, the mother, and the father both had their own lawyers to make sure that the father wasn't pressuring there was no pressure in between.
Right.
And the lawyers were all crying, and the DHS agent was crying, and so we're sitting in the court talking to the gal, our agent, and we're like, what's going on here? Is this normal? She's like, she's wiping tears. No, this isn't normal. This never happens, and so it was an opposite.
Meant to be.
Scenario. Meant to be. Right.
That's
Has there
awesome.
been any contact from the parents since?
The grandparents, we've kept in touch with some grandparents and sent them some stuff and pictures and
Right.
A little bit, but for the most part, not really. Our kids are fully aware, and we let them know, and I'm sure at some point they'll want to meet their parents, and we try and just tell them everything we know and show them pictures, and it's real obvious they're not our kids. They don't look like us. They're blonde,
Yeah.
We're Lebanese and Mexican.
Benny looks like you.
Benny does
And
look
acts
like
exactly like you.
he does.
No.
Yeah. Well,
Wow, that's a great story, man.
Yeah,
I mean that.
pretty crazy. But ironically, it was right when the market had crashed, and I had a piece of property that I had split off 2 lots in my house, and I took the 2 lots. I used them as collateral to buy this rental property, and the rental property was cash flowing really well, like $600 a month, and I just used them as collateral to get the loan. And the bank is now totally over leveraged, Bank of the Cascade, and they're calling me saying, we need you to pay off the loan. You got 30 days. And I tried to sell these lots, nobody wanted them. And and so they were basically, it was like I had 20 days left maybe, and the bank was going to come and grab those lots, and because they could. When you have a short-term loans like that, they can just call up your loan, and if you don't cash them out, then they just take possession of them, foreclose you, and I was going to lose both lots and the house. And right after that court hearing, I came home, and a guy knocked on my door and made me a full price offer for one of my lots. Hadn't been on the market for like 3 months, and he's like, "Well, can you close in a week?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so."
We're gonna have to.
Unbelievable,
Right.
right?
Oh, wow.
So it was just like a sign,
Yeah.
too powerful to deny. And so, what happened with her was, the parents gave up their rights, assuming we were going to adopt her. His family, her family, they were all on board with we were going to be the family. So none of the direct family stepped up. Well, 6 months later, since the state goes and does their standard procedure for every kid, they go looking for family members. Well, my daughter had 2 half siblings that were adopted out, and they were like 14 and 16, and they were living in Florida with an adopted mom. And she was 62, and she was married to an 82-year-old, and they wanted to take possession of this child. Well, since they're actually a biological, or not biological, but adopted parent, and we were just a foster parent, they actually took precedent. So they came to us and they told us they were going to take the child. As soon as the Florida case studies done, if they get approved, that basically we had no rights. Well, I went and hired the best lawyer you can hire, in the Valley, and paid all the money to try and fight it, even though I didn't really have a legal stance.
Right.
Because I hadn't had her a year. They had just changed the law from 6 months. You keep the child for 6 months, then to a year. So they did this whole home study in Florida, and it finally comes back. And I'm like, this guy's 82. You're going to take an infant, give it to a 62 and an 82 because she has siblings that are teenagers, and
You wonder what their motive was.
right, exactly, right. So we're totally bonded to her. We love her. We're raising her like she's our daughter, and
She is.
It's 14 months in, and the study from Florida comes back, and they approved them. So they come over and they tell us they're approved. Now we're working on plane flights to get her and ship her off, and there's nothing we can do.
Oh, man.
And guess what happens? The old man
Died.
drops dead.
Sorry.
Wow.
Stroke from God. I swear to you.
Man.
He drops dead. So now there's a new 6-month study. Well, there's a third daughter who just turned 18. She turns 18 and she's out. She comes back to Oregon, leaves the family in Florida, and comes and meets us and tells us all about. Turns out the mom was fighting cancer. She had stents in her kidneys, and so, you know, this little girl that would have gone there would have ended up bonding to this old man who would have passed away.
Right.
And then in the long run, since that happened and she wasn't being open about her medical records, they ended up, the state of Oregon considered us under the earlier law. The local authorities did, because they were just so upset. And so we ended up winning at a state trial. It took 3 years. It was a total roller coaster. And they ended up changing the law in Oregon because of it. Because they turned it back to 6 months. Because once you're bonded to a child for that period of time, and a random person comes in to the mix that doesn't have that bond, you got to have weight in that scenario. You know, and so we ended up winning the state hearing 7-1, and about a week later, the woman who was fighting for her, she dropped in.
Oh my gosh.
Who's the one in that 7-1? I'd like to have.
Yeah.
Can I just talk to you real quick and ask why?
It's a crazy scenario too, because so we don't get to go testify. They don't get to meet us and see who we are as people.
Right.
So basically, we get a DHS agent, worker, social worker, basically. They interview us and they learn everything about us. And the other family gets the same thing.
Right.
And then these two people that, like, they work for the state for $20 an hour. They go up to Salem and they plead your case on your behalf.
Your fate.
And they decide the fate of this child. And the one person that ruled against us says, "Well, I just choose family no matter what. I'm blood all the way." And so she would have been, if they went on the earliest timeline, she would have been shipped off
and then put back into foster care.
Person died, another person died. Then she would have ended up with an uncle or who knows what, or you know, it's total strangers.
Yeah, it's like, that's just so ridiculous. I've seen so many times where kids end up with a blood relative, but the blood relative obviously should not have a kid.
Like literally wanting them just for a tax break or something.
It's terrible.
Infuriating.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, Julian, I'm sorry, man. We
sorry, I'm stealing the thunder here.
Yeah,
We're used to it. It's pretty standard.
Tell us about that.
Thanks for sharing that story, though. That was
It is amazing. Dude, you guys, we're getting close to our end of time here. Nick, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I know you haven't know what's happening.
No, we need to talk about NovaSana. Like, tell us about NovaSana.
Okay, let's talk about NovaSana. No, we're going to talk about NovaSana in 1 second. We're going to do Fast 5, okay? We're going to ask random quick questions. You ready?
Okay.
And Nick's going to go first. We're going to do it different this time. Nick, go.
Okay, if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
For the business? Or just life?
Anything.
Just anything.
You can have a billboard with anything. What are you going to do?
Whatever you want. Okay, I'll tell you why I asked this question. So when we first started this 2 years ago, we had like one episode out. I bought a billboard on, what is it, Crater Lake Highway. Crater Lake Highway. And said the #1 parenting podcast in the world with our faces on it.
There you go.
Genius.
I don't know about genius, but
we're pretty damn close though.
But now we're pretty close to that fact, believe it or not. The two guys from Oregon.
We're actually
doing a podcast.
We're in the top 50 in dad podcasts.
And top 1.5% of all podcasts in the world. But this is not about us.
Wow.
What's your favorite thing to cook for your kids, Nick?
Steak.
Oh, I want to come live with Nick's house.
Man.
I smoke it first. It's the best thing you
Oh,
can do.
yeah.
On my aim.
Let's go. You want to adopt us?
Right here.
Julian, what's your biggest parenting fail as a dad?
Not following through with strong enough consequences immediately.
Ooh, that's a great answer.
Because you let them slip once or twice, it's over.
Okay. All right.
That kind of beats mine, leaving my kids in the shopping cart at Walmart by accident.
These are facts, gentlemen.
That's
These
the truth.
are
It
facts.
happened. So happens when you have more than two.
What's your greatest parenting accomplishment up until this date?
Adopting children. Come on.
I was going to say, the fact they're still alive is pretty decent,
Yeah,
right?
my boy's barely alive, I tell you that.
Yeah, if we had another 3 hours, the stories.
Oh, goodness.
Well, we'll invite you back.
Yeah.
I feel like we need more time with just you one-on-one anyway, since Nick stole literally all of your thunder today. But that was a beautiful, beautiful
just got
story.
out of the ER yesterday, by the way.
All right,
That's
so
surprising.
I'm going to finish this episode off with what I like to think as the most prolific question. Is that a word? Prolific?
And since you stole
Prolific.
3 of my questions.
Yeah, well, we were doing it together. And plus, I got your back today. I know you're not feeling great.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to ask the same question. You're going to answer first, okay? No pressure.
All right.
If you were to impart any bit of wisdom or advice on any new dad or soon-to-be father, what's it going to be?
Okay. Follow your instincts and trust yourself that you are going to make the right choices. Like follow your gut, follow your instinct for sure. Time with your children, just time, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, spend time with them, love on them, of course. I think communication, like twofold when it comes to being a parent, a father figure moving forward in life, is to lead by example and communicate with them what you're doing, why you're doing. I mean, leading by example is one thing, but when you can couple it with the explanation, the why, so they can begin to learn and understand, support them in their thought process from an early age, that's kind of where I would go with it.
All right, good answer, Matt. Very good.
Great.
Nick?
That's why he's such a good dad. For other parents, I would say discipline is love. And we love our kids. We don't want to discipline them. But disciplining your kids makes them feel loved and makes them feel secure that they know there's boundaries. And so many parents I see just struggle in that. And because they love their kids, it's out of love, we want to give our kids everything. And by giving them everything, including letting them get away with everything, we destroy them. We destroy their confidence, and so that's the most important thing for me, is just follow through on discipline, and don't feel bad about it. You're not there to be their friends. You're there to structure their lives, and so that they learn right and wrong.
They become successful humans.
That's right.
I gotcha.
Awesome.
I struggle with that too. I mean, they still get the discipline. Mom is the one who you're grounded, and then the next day they're doing whatever, and I'm like, what? You grounded them last night for whatever they did. Why are they? So then when it comes around to me, I'm like, you're back to being grounded. Then I'm the bad guy, even though mom did it to begin with. But again, we'll be friends when you're adults. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd also say slow to anger, and you don't have to just be slow to anger, but carry a big stick. If you say you're going to be punished for X, Y, Z if you do this, and then when they do it, you don't even have to bother yelling at them.
Yeah.
There's no yelling necessary. Mm-hmm. You just follow through. And then they have this respect for you and this boundary that you're rock solid, and you end up having a peaceful life.
I'm to live with them for a couple months.
Well, that respect, you certainly don't see it immediately. It's not instant.
Yeah.
In fact, you think it's the exact opposite. But all right, those are good answers, gentlemen. All right, Nick, here we go.
Yes.
Let's talk about NovaSana, and then we're going to get out of here today. I'm assuming you are a masseuse here.
Yeah.
And I was jokingly off the air telling you that we had it under contract that I was supposed to get massaged during the entire episode, but turns out there weren't enough employees in here to do that, which bums me out. But we are, yes, inside NovaSana in Grants Pass. Tell us about this place, what you do, and all that good stuff, man.
We'll start with just the tagline of it. I mean, what we do is we address the soft tissue in the body that's causing dysfunction or injury. That's what we do. We decided to do this company together to find a better way to fix the problem, a faster way to fix problems. The power of soft tissue work is phenomenal when done right. A lot of people seek massage for relief, and I sit here day in and day out listening to people's story. They come in, they tell me about their pain, and I go, well, what treatments have you tried? The typical stuff is chiropractic, PT, massage therapy, sometimes acupuncture, sometimes some obscure thing. The majority of those people have all tried massage, and I say, which one gave you the most relief? Most of the time, they're gonna say massage. And say, okay, well, how long did it last? It lasts like a week or maybe a few days, or I was like, okay, that's great. That's great news, because that worked. Now we're just going to capitalize on that and do that soft tissue work at a more advanced level.
Right.
to get those results to stick. I share this because the power of soft tissue work is huge, because bones don't move themselves around. Not to discredit chiropractic at all, because there's a time and place for it. PT, just continuing to do exercise, doesn't fix chronic pain. Neither of those options really fix chronic pain, but when you start addressing the soft tissue, these patterns in the body that have developed over years, a lifetime, repetitive use patterns, sitting patterns, those kinds of things, when soft tissue work is done right, it'll heal the body and fix the problem for long-term relief, so people can live pain-free, and that's no joke.
There you have it.
Very cool.
Anyone watching or listening to this episode, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, but preferably if you are in the Southern Oregon area, where are you located? Do you have an online presence?
Yeah, we do have an online presence. We have a website. You can go to our website at www.novasana.health, and you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. That stuff's rolling. We're rolling out a lot of great content as far as starting self-care content, things you can do at home, and putting videos on of live treatments. Or
You got a TikTok channel?
That just got banned. You didn't get the memo.
TikTok got banned?
No.
Oh.
I'm like, wait a minute. It's one of our revenue streams.
No!
It's the talk of the town, anyway.
We're gonna have to talk to Jesse about that one. I wouldn't put that to Jesse, but yeah. So go on YouTube channel, check out all the videos we have. But watching treatments it gives you a chance to see something happen sort of in real time, but like before and after results of complex situations.
We cure people on a daily basis, and when you call Julian a masseuse, he's like a healer is what he is. What we do is we have a proprietary process to find the source of people's pain. We use soft tissue methods to heal them, and it's so revolutionary. What I bring to the table as the business side of things is we want to change the healthcare system and the way people are treated, because right now, if you have an achy knee or a sore back, you go to your doctor, he sends you to a surgeon, the surgeon gives you a picture and diagnoses the problem and says, let's operate. Or he sends you to a physical therapist and they try and strengthen some muscles. And then when that doesn't work, then they start cutting you. And we have client after client after client that were told they need knee replacement. They need a new kneecap. They need rotator cuff surgery. They can't lift their arm. We cure them in a couple of sessions, and it's unbelievable. People that are chronically in pain for 10, 20 years at a time, and they come in a few sessions and they're healed. We had to change the whole business model, because he used to do massage where it's like, oh, you got the same people, and if you treat them right, they're going to come back every week. But now we cure them, and they're like, sweet, I'm not coming back because I have no more pain.
Okay, I have the craziest, most random question to ask you. Actually, this is more geared towards you. I don't even know if it's possible, but do you know the sac that covers the brain and the spine that holds the spinal fluid? Mm-hmm. Okay. He has a hole in his, which is causing some serious issues in his life for the past 6 months. Mm-hmm. Is anything that you do could help with that?
Treatment-wise, modality-wise, no, but potentially red light therapy.
Okay.
Just because it can treat through the bones of the skull, the cranium,
right,
and possibly help repair and regenerate tissue that has been damaged.
That hole needs to be plugged. Yeah. And the world will be much better for Nick.
I am a cabinet maker, so I could cut a little ledge.
It's a microscopic hole, I'm guessing, but
I have no idea.
Well, it's something to look into.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, Julian, Nick, we're at NovaSana. This is Dadcast Podcast. Gentlemen, thank you so much for not only inviting us into your home today, but becoming on the show, man. It's much appreciated. Your stories, Nick, it's amazing, man. I cannot wait to watch this one back. And Julian, the work you do, I mean, you're like a real life superhero to people.
Yeah.
I really hope that through this process, I believe we're going to help millions and millions of people.
I love it. And awesome. To top it all off, you guys are great dads, man, which is why we are here. So bring it in. Thanks so much, Nick.
Thanks, boys. Thank you so much for being here.
To everyone watching, again, wherever you are and however you may be listening, thank you so much for checking out the pod. If you are checking us out on YouTube, make sure to smash that subscribe button, comment, like, share, do all the things. And of course, go to NovaSana, that's NovaSana.com.
Health.
Health. Excuse me. NOVASANA.health. Check out what they have to offer. If you're in the Southern Oregon area, of course, stop by, give them a visit, and we'll check you guys out on the very next episode. Have a great rest of your day. See you.